and where to land safely. This was very, very important. So retargeting it did because it found a crater there and it had to go to a place where there is a plain land. So this was all done by autonomously by onboard. We cannot. This entire sequence of landing is an autonomous sequence which we developed. So no, the camera has only one eye. The camera has only one eye. But the major point here is the image processing in real time and detecting the digital elevation model, what we call DEM, what we call, and take a decision, pass the decision to the control system. That is the most difficult part. So, what was Chandrayana 3? Actually, as you all know, this is our LBM-3 M4 is one of the biggest rockets which we have, and this can lift 4 tons of payload, and Chandrayana 3 was 3.9 tons totally weighing when we lifted off from the launch pad. And these are anyway the other things. So LBM-3 M4 has put Chandrayana 3 into this orbit. You see, one side is 36,500 kilometers, another side is 170 kilometers. So you can see the electricity. Electricity is like a mosaic, egg shape. So how much egg shape I am there is given by the XLG number. So this was the orbit which we achieved from this launch vehicle, and subsequently we had to do series of earth burns, what we call EBLs, to take this whatever initially injected orbit to close to moon. Yeah. Then
what is the reason behind this elliptical?
Yeah. So today, whatever rocket we have is not as powerful as Russia or America. Okay, the kind of load I can take to, because Russia has a powerful rocket, America has a powerful rocket. So they can directly go into something called translunar injection, what we call, directly going to the moon. They don't go around the Earth so many times. This was again another unique way India and ISRO has done. Even with a less powerful rocket, how to go to moon, how to go to Mars is what we have found a good methodology. See, we don't have a powerful rocket, and being a satellite which is carrying some science payload, government said you have to use your own rocket. You cannot go for hiring a rocket like Arianespace or Delta or any such rockets. So we had to do with our own rockets, we had to do some frugal engineering, I can say, a new methodology by which we can reach the planets. So once after reaching, after getting these orbits, when we reached moon, we had again a very high elliptical orbit where we did series of lunar burns and got it into 150 kilometer circular orbit. So you can see this table shows on what date what we did. So translunar injection we did it on 31st July, and it took 5 days to reach the moon. So translunar injection, okay, just to give some idea about what is this, why we are doing like this, we have to escape from the Earth's gravity. So Earth's gravity on the surface, if you want to escape, you require 11.2 kilometers per second. That is the requirement to escape from this gravity. But our rocket cannot give this velocity. Our rocket was able to give around 10.3 kilometers, 10.4 kilometers. The rest of the velocity we achieved through the onboard engine, whatever I had shown you earlier. So we did series of burns. On 31st July, we could get the velocity equal to escape, and we started traveling towards the moon. And we reached moon on 5th August. And once we reached moon, we had a very big orbit, around 150 kilometers by 18,000 kilometers around the moon. That was the first orbit we got. And then subsequently we reduced the height, and then when we came down to 150 kilometers by 250, then we separated the propulsion module and the lander module. And then subsequently, the lander was supposed to descend from 30 kilometer altitude. So we had to change the orbit for the lander. So we did deboost 1, 2, and then we did this power descent on 23rd August 12:33. This is universal time. What we normally use is universal time. So GMT, I think I don't know how many of you have heard. GMT is what we use. So it will be 5.5 hours if you add, it will be our global time. So these are the stations. Again, this is our 32-meter antenna, means 100 feet in diameter. This is weighing about 600 tons. And this antenna, you can see it is in Bangalore. You can come and have a visit. I will make special arrangements for all of you to come to ISRO. Okay, so you can really have a look at this antenna. This is an engineering marvel by itself. And you know, this antenna has to point towards the satellite within 20 millidegree. Means the accuracy is what we look for is such a high accuracy. And this is another antenna, 18 meter, which we call 18 meter. These both antennas, we call this as a deep space antennas because they have a capability. And this antenna has a capability to pump the power of 20 kilowatt in RF. 20 kilowatt means once it radiates from this antenna, it will be gigawatts of RF power going out of this antenna. So that is the kind of powers we give here for a deep space mission. Because you know the signal I told you, for Mars, it has to take 400 million kilometers the signal has to travel. So we have to have such powers. So there were so many other antennas. So under ISTRAC, we have these antennas located at Lucknow, Port Blair, Mauritius, Iran, Brunei, and one more is there, it's missed here. It is in Biak. Biak is in Indonesia. And then, apart from this, we have a station in North Pole, in South Pole, Antarctica. And then we have used the other space agency stations to track the Chandrayana 3, Hawaii, Santiago, then Kourou and Gurgi.
Can I just interrupt you?
Yeah, please.
At one point, just before landing, there was something, I don't know if I understood that correctly. There was a loss of signal or communication. There was some silence, they said.
Yeah, I will explain to you about that. I think everybody might have heard that there was, for a few seconds, there was a loss of signal. It's mainly because when we started the deboost, when we were coming close to the moon, there was an interference coming from the moon. This is again the very first time we are experiencing this. Okay, so that also is telling us some signs about what is actually coming out of the moon. Okay, so these were stations which were used to track our Chandrayana 3, and you can just see here, this image was taken from Chandrayana 2, which has a high resolution camera. We call it as an optical high resolution camera, OHRC. So you can see how the moon looks like. So there are full of craters here and there, and these craters are created by meteors and other things.
Himalayan peaks are not like this.
Yeah, that I think we were doing the comparison of moon with the heavy phase. I think that's a mistake. We have to change that. Okay, so
I said that's not Himalayan cheeks.
no. If you remember, in many movies, songs are there comparing a woman with moon.
Yes.
You look like your face looks like a moon. But this is actually the moon. So I am trying to bring that analogy. So ladies, be aware that moon is like really like this.
ಹೆಂಗೆ
Yeah.
If the photo is bigger than this.
I'll tell you how big it is. These potholes, for example, you see there is a crater here. This is about 2 kilometers deep.
My God. Deep.
And it has never seen sunlight.
Oh my God.
The hill of it.
Hello. So it has never seen sunlight. See, okay. Now see the region where we wanted to land was this region. As we go down south and southern part of the moon, it is very treacherous domain. I mean, nobody has landed till date. Even Americans, Russians, they have landed on a place where it is very comfortable and easy. That is why entire world appreciated India for landing in such a region. It's not an easy. Why we went to south? Okay, I'll come to that. So, southern part of the moon is very interesting. As you all know, Chandrayana 1, when our moon impact probe, when it hit on the surface, it found water molecules. So we wanted to really make moon as our base in the coming days. And from moon we want to go to different planets. And if at all, if I want to make moon as a habitable place, it's very important that you can carry certain level of essential requirements, but you cannot be sustaining for a long time. So how to sustain? Whether I have certain minerals, certain gases, certain things available by which I can make oxygen, by nitrogen, etc. So that is the major challenge today. All space agencies are looking how to go there and sustain and build a base. So that is one thing. And again, there is a big race towards moon. All countries want to go there because there are certain rare earth minerals available there, which they would like to harvest in the coming days or years. So that is the interest we have, and we need to find out why it is like that, what caused it like that, whether Earth can become inhabitable in the coming days. This is another theory which many of us keep discussing. Mars, once upon a time, they say living things were there, and many people, they say we are all Martians. So our ancestors, millions of years ago, they have come from Mars like that, they say. But reality, we don't know. But if Mars was habitable like Earth, why it is like that today? Where you cannot grow any plants or anything. I think one movie was made by Hollywood, Martian. So I think that was a very interesting movie. And that person, he tries to grow potatoes and things like that to survive because he will be alone. And that's a very interesting movie. And that is how the space is actually. And some people may feel it's very tough, but its reality is there is no gravity. You are in a microgravity situation, and you will experience a different thing when you go to space. So that's why space tourism is the next interesting thing which is going to happen. I'm telling very seriously. In US, I think that has been taken seriously, and new things are getting developed. ISRO also is trying to do that. That is because going to space where there is no air and there is no atmosphere, living and experiencing microgravity is one of the best thing one can experience or anybody can experience. So coming back to moon, so this was the area first we decided to land. This was the total distance was about 40 kilometers, and this is about 8 kilometers. So this was the first decision we decided to land, and further we zeroed on you see, we cannot land here, a lot of craters. So further we came down, and finally we decided this is our primary landing site, PLS1, and this is the secondary or alternate landing site, PLS2. If there is something wrong, it can land at this point. So we decided based on Chandrayana 2 data where to land, and you see this entire grid is about 400 meters by 400 meters. So we have to land perfectly on this. So that was the challenge. So this is a diagram showing where was the moon, and moon was here, and we were orbiting around the earth. And finally, when we did the translunar injection, the satellite traveled, Chandrayana 3 traveled like this, and the moon came in its orbit like this. Both met each other and said hello. And then subsequently we did a lot of things to capture around the gravity of the moon. Moon has 1/6 of gravity of Earth. So we need, because the satellite will be traveling at a higher velocity, we have to put brakes on the satellite so that it gets captured into the gravity of the moon. And this is another diagram showing how the orbit, this blue color orbit you are seeing, this is the orbit which we had got after translunar injection. And as we neared to the moon, the orbit path changed totally. This is because of the gravity of the moon.
Expected, unexpected.
Expected. These are all expected, planned. So this change in the gravity, because of the change, gravitational force from the moon, the path changed. And you see this part, this is the place where we have to reduce the velocity and get captured around the moon orbit. This is what we did. This happened on 5th August. So after capturing around the moon, this was the kind of orbit we got. Inclination, when we say 89 degree, that means equator plane if you take, from that my orbital plane is perpendicular almost. And you don't see the other parameters. Anyway, perilune means, peri means closest point, apo means farthest point. So peri 165 kilometers and apo was 18,000 kilometers. Then we had conducted a lot of maneuvers to bring around 150 by 150, and then subsequently we separated the lander and the propulsion module, and the lander module was further brought down to 30 km by 150 km orbit around the moon. So the most important part was this, the landing phase. Which we have, which we call as a power descent phase. So, first one point everybody should know, how to know where this Chandrayana is going. So this is very, very important. What we call is an orbit determination, where the path is going, how it is going to travel, and where is the velocity. Everything we need to determine to make sure that we go in the required direction. So that was done, and that determination has to be accurate enough to less than 300 meters. So we could get better than 20 meters for the position determination of lander. So that was one of the, yes.
Real time, how do you manage?
Real time. Real time we are getting data from Chandrayana 3 lander. All our stations, because Earth is rotating. So we don't have visibility continuously. So we use the station from NASA, ESA, SSC, everybody to track our Chandrayana 3 and get the data here.
And there is a span in, like you said, 22 minutes it will take to go there.
That was for Mars orbital mission. Specifically here it was only 1 second.
1 second.
See, electromagnetic waves travel at the speed of light, so 3 lakh kilometers per second. Since our distance is close to 3 lakh, so 1 second, 1.2 seconds is the only delay. So here, when we were at 30 kilometer, we oriented the lander in this mode, and the entire sequence was an autonomous landing sequence. So initially the velocity, horizontal velocity is 1.68 kilometers per second.
Autonomous is what?
It takes care. It takes care. Only I initiate.
Software is.
Yes, I only ALS sequence initiate once I give. We have to give a command to this. We always interact with the lander or orbiter continuously from ISTRAC to continuously program what next to be done. So that is the part of our job. So we commanded that it should start landing at this point of time, and at this point this was the velocities, and first almost about 12 and a half minutes, not 12 and a half, roughly about 11 and a half minutes, we had something called rough braking, where the velocity of this 1.68 has to reduce to close to almost 400 meters per second. That is the requirement. So that much of braking I have to do on this Chandrayana 3 lander. And you see the distance, how much it would have traveled. It's about 713 kilometers in this time, 11 and a half minutes. So that is the kind of velocities. Then once we come,
Very fast.
yeah, very, very fast. We don't have any.
That was what I was scared.
Yeah. So after completing rough braking phase, then there are sensors on board to check where I am going, where I am presently there, whether I have to do any corrections to that. So in this attitude hold phase, we did the determination of the onboard attitude as well as the position, and then fine braking phase we started. You can see the orientation of lander is slowly changing. Finally, it is coming to a vertical position, and this is called fine braking phase, where we are supposed to finally have a soft landing. So this is finally our goal at this point, which is about 1300 meter or 800 meter. So we have two possibilities again, plan A, plan B. Suppose if something happens wrong here, something happens wrong here, it can go to 1300. If everything goes well, it can be 800 meters. So everywhere we have to address the failures. So what I want to convey here is, if we are able to address all failures, success is guaranteed. That's the lesson ISRO has learned. And we always look at the possibility of any system failure, component failure, detection, algorithm failure, etc., and we see how to come out of it. So then here at this point of time, when the lander is at 150 meter altitude, see again, when I say altitude 150 meter, it has to be from the point where it is on the ground. There can be a crater, which I would not have really taken into my computation. So that is why we need to worry about the local elevation. So all these things are done here, and then either it lands here or it can go maximum of 150 meter away from the landing site. So this was our plan. And if you see in the final phase where everyone was really worried, you can see these are all various sensors which were working. The green is what? It means it is taken as our input to control the platform. And this is the nominal path, this is the contingency path. So we have always two paths. So in the nominal path, again, it detects at this 150 meter altitude, is there any hazard, then it will re-target and it will land. So finally, when we come down to an altitude of around 10 meters, we shut off two engines which were part of the lander, where we had 4 engines. Finally, we had to shut off 2 engines, and finally, after landing, after confirmation from various sensors that we have landed, then the other 2 engines were shut off. So you can see the various possibilities one can experience while landing. So the major important things which were part of this was lander position detection camera, then lander horizontal velocity camera, then lander hazard detection avoidance camera. All these sensors are really like when we want to land an helicopter, a pilot is really looking at the terrain and he decides whether I will land here or land there or land elsewhere. So there is no pilot here and it has to be purely a software algorithm based and things have to work. So these are the eyes of what I can say Chandrayana 3 lander, and the input is given to the control, that is the brain, and it decided finally to have a good soft landing on August 23rd. So it totally took about 20 minutes from the time we started descent. So we landed around 603 in IST. So that was a very, very successful part of Chandrayana 3. In fact, to get you some understanding, we had our failure in Chandrayana 2 was in the last leg of this mission. Actually, what happened in Chandrayana 2 was it found that it has to go to that place, but it found it was here only. So to reach that place, it has to give certain velocity and it has to tilt. So the amount of tilt it could give at that point of time was controlled and it was not able to get the required direction, velocity, and finally it was in the wrong direction. We had to use the lander. So this is how our each point where we are imaging continuously on the moon and we are determining the lander position. So this is another camera which was telling where we are at different altitudes. We have taken these images and we have confirmed that our lander was going in the right direction. So this is the exact point where we landed on that day. 69 degrees south and 32 degrees east. So this is in another frame. It is displayed. So when we landed, we wanted to confirm we have landed. We wanted to show the world that we have landed successfully. So we took again an image from Chandrayana 2.
Wow.
So this is the Shivshanti point where we have landed. Okay, and most of you, if you go to ISRO website, all the videos are available. You can really enjoy. That's why I didn't put the videos here. But you can enjoy those videos when we are coming close to the moon, how the moon looks like. Everything you can see. And this is a lander where it has landed, and you can see how craters are there around, all along. So we have to land successfully. It's not an easy job. So these are again some images which you would have seen. And post landing, our rover came out of when the ramp got deployed, and you can see the rover. This image is taken from lander, the rover, and this image is taken from rover about the lander.
They were kicking each other.
Yeah, we had to position and click each other. So we did that, and you can see the rover has rolled down at this point, and it has moved further. Anyway, I will show you the next slide. So, if you see the local slope, that means where we landed, what was the land? It was about 20-degree slope was there at that point of time. Then we could make out all these things because sun was rising when we landed, and from the day we landed, we are going to have 14 days of continuous light. So our panels can generate the power and provide the communication. Then once another 14 days, it goes into the night. There is no power, so there is no further activity happening
And
only.
over, it's also automated, or do you give?
No, we have to give commands from here.
The hatch to open.
Yes, we gave command this to open. Actually, this is like a slide. So the rover is tied to this ramp with a bolt, 3 bolts, And these boards will get cut when we give a command, and it will start rolling down. So this is rover. So we have moved about 100 meters away from lander and did a lot of science and a lot of data we have collected. You can see how these are the real images which we have taken from the rover camera. You can see there is a big crater here. We could go up to this point and then we had to retrace path, because if we go and get inside the crater, we may not be able to come out. So this is again some of the images. You can see the track of our rover, how it, when we retraced back, because we tried to go around, but there was a crater everywhere, so we had to retrace back where we landed, and then we took another path to move almost 100 meters. These are all some of the images which we have got from the rover. So this is the diagram is showing, this is our Shiv Shakti point where lander was there. And first we moved in this direction, we found a crater here, then again another crater, so we had to come back and go all the way, and we moved, and this is the last point where we said bye to our rover. Yeah, this is about Chandrayana. I hope
We could go on listening to this.
so today, rover and lander are in sleep mode. Because one thing, very important findings I can say. First thing we could find is the soil is very sticky, like what we find in lakes and lake beds and all, something like that. And the rover, when it was going on the soil, actually the 3 lions, our national emblem, on the other wheel, we expected that imprint will come on the, but unfortunately that was not coming, because of the stickiness of the soil. That is one thing.
So maybe
Another important finding is on the surface of the soil, the temperature is around 70 degree. Just you go 8 centimeter deep, the temperature is minus 10 degree. So that is the kind of variation we are seeing. And why it is so, what is causing that to come down to that temperature is really we need to understand. I mean, people are working on that, and all these instruments, whatever I talked, we have got good amount of data. There's a good amount of sulfur, good amount of calcium and things like that. Of course, many elements are getting now the spectroscopes. Basically, they are used to find elements. I think in our high school, if anybody remembers, we would have studied this. So using spectroscopy, each element will give certain light. So that is what the principle used in these instruments. So we are trying to discover what elements are there on the moon, whether we can go and establish our base there, how to go about. These are some of the things which we are looking, and hope so. And in the future, we have planned, ISRO has a plan to bring back samples from the moon, the sample return mission. Actually, for doing that, we did an experiment by hopping our lander. So we again, before we entered into the night, we made one small hop. We reignited the engines. We just compensated for the gravity pull, and we were just floating for some time, and then we went to another place and landed. So this was a very important experiment for future sample return mission, because we wanted to know whether the legs got stuck inside the soil. If so, because see, we are trying to push by firing the engine, but if one leg is stuck, then it will not really get up. It will start rotating about the axis. So all these doubts were there, but it has not really got stuck. It really moved well, and hope so we will do much more missions like this. I think in newspapers you will be seeing quite a good amount of coverage on ISRO's activities is there.
Yes, we are looking forward.
Yeah, Chandrayana,
Aditya.
Aditya is another mission which we are heading towards the Lagrange point. To give some insight, only 1 minute. Yeah. So basically the satellite will study the sun chromosphere and the magnetic activities and other activities which are happening on the sun. So this satellite is going to a point where Earth's gravity and the sun gravity, they are equal and opposite. So now it is like tug of war which we used to play in our school days. So now Earth's gravity will pull the satellite towards Earth and at the same time equal by the sun. So it will stay there.
So it should be having very
Yeah, this is the-
heat shields.
Yeah, we have got heat shields on that to take care of the thermal conditions, the sun thermal conditions. We have 7 payloads on this and which are going to definitely give. We are the 4th country to again launch a mission to sun and first country to land on the southern part of the moon. That is the greatest achievement I can say ISRO or India has done. Because nobody dared enough to go here because of the terrain. So we have taken that and we have done that. I think we will have much more things to come. So before I end my talk, I request all of you to be in touch. Come down to my center. I will make sure you will have a nice tour of what we are. Okay, so plan everything and I think Bhaskar can be focal point. Okay, so you plan on one particular day, one full day you may require because we have to visit 2 places. One, that deep space antenna which I mentioned, it is near the Big Banyan tree. I don't know how many of you have gone there. Most of you might have gone. So it's about 2 kilometers from there. And the other one where we are controlling all our satellites is in Pina. So you can see many technologically important things in my center. Atomic clocks and all these things which we are using for various navigation applications. You can have a really one good day, one good tour, and I will host a nice lunch.
Important.
That is important.
Yes.
Very important.
Okay, so I'm really thankful for all of you for giving me this opportunity to share whatever I could do in a small amount of time. And I thank every one of you for calling me today for this point.
We have to thank you.
Questions, anybody?
Yeah. One question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
What is the mileage of Chandrayana? कितना देती है?
This is really, people have talked in newspapers. We have spent about 700 crores. This comes to around $75 million or something like that, which nominally any outside agencies, they spend about 800 million, 900 million dollars. So we are 1/10 of that. With that, we are able to achieve this much results.
That's what in the US they are very moving age to consumer.
Yeah, this Mars orbiter mission, if you remember, even our Prime Minister made a statement that, what is that? Even to go in an auto rickshaw per kilometer, whatever we are paying, that much only we have spent for this mission like that, we was compared. So that is how we work.
I can tell you something. I work for Raytheon, we work with JPL, that's supported you. Our annual contract value was $250 million. We just by the Chandrayana mission.
Chandrayana mission is about, total mission cost is 75.
Total mission. I'm talking about annual billing annual contract value used to be $250 million for us, just Raytheon. Now calculate the JPL cost, etc. that NASA used to pay that. So what he's saying when he said that we did it all in-house, I can relate to that because we used to work directly with JPL on NASA contracts.
But mileage ಹೇಳಿಲ್ವಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ನೀನು?
Mileage,
But petrol ಇಲ್ವಾ?
Different type of fuel. What you use in your car or scooter, you can
ಅದಲ್ವಾ?
Here we use something called monomethyl hydrazine. It's one chemical. Another is nitrogen tetroxide, N2O4. So N2O4 is an oxidizer because there is no oxygen in space. So we should carry oxidizer or oxygen and fuel as well. So both will actually mix in the chamber at certain pressure and ignite, and it comes out as a thrust.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Shyam Sundar was our late entry. We'll be having a
Yeah.
lot of questions today.
Why only 14 days? Is it because of the fuel or?
No. 14 days is the number of days sun is available on the moon. Any point if you take, you will have the sun visibility for 14 days. Another 14 days you have night. Again another 14 days you will have sun. So it is matching with our lunar calendar. That's why I made the remark initially.
And you wake the rover again? You said you put it to sleep and you wake it up again?
See, what we are seeing, only one area which we could not really see is the temperature. Actually, when the night occurs on the moon, the temperature on the moon at that point is about minus 150 degrees centigrade. So, what could have happened to the electronic components, we really don't know. So, we have tested up to minus 50, minus 80, but we do not have facility to test at minus 150. It's a very challenging thing to really make that scenario on Earth. It's not easy. So, we could test up to that temperature probably.
The sun comes out, you will be able to know.
No, sun has already come out. Now, I think October 3rd again it is setting in. So, we were expecting some signal, but we have not got.
So if you bring back samples,
Yeah.
again, it is a question of quarantining it.
Yes, those
Anything brought from there?
Yes, anything brought. Now recently NASA bought some sample from one of the meteorite. So they are waiting for the quarantine and then they will start analyzing.
You said 22 minutes for Mars, right?
Yeah.
What is the time here?
It's 1 second.
ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ
Because it's just a 4 light kilometer average. So
ಏನಿನ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಆಗೋ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಏನೇನೋ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ತೀಯಾ ಕೇಳಬೇಕಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತೀಯಾ
it's okay, it's okay. How many people? Okay, see, to give some background about ISRO. ISRO has many centers. One old airport road, there is something called URL Satellite Center. There only all this integration of all the systems and testing everything happens there. Then we have Liquid Propulsion System Center, which is at Valayamala in Trivandrum. There all the engines are made. Then we have the sensors, which are made in another center. ISTRAC is one center where we are controlling all these various satellites. We have so many other satellites. Actually, there is so much of application of satellites today. Without your knowledge, I think many areas we are already using the technology. Actually, this is one thing everybody should realize. It is so important if the economy, today's space economy is what we are talking about, something like $400 billion is possible. So India is having only 1 to 2% of the share today. So our government has made now the space activity as a open domain. The private industries and private people can participate and they can contribute. And it is really, if any of you are having your own industry, you can really interact. And there is a lot of change made to enable our industry to be part of our space activity. So that way, it's a very big area. Space is something unbelievable.
Thank you, Ramakrishna. That was really mind-boggling.
Thank you.
I think. Enlightened us about this. Chandrayana 3. Of course, so the thing is, Ramakrishna, you want to back here today.
Thank you all.
See, he's made an offer for a visit to ISRO. The only condition is that it has to be a state government funded. So that central government is open and you people are free. The earliest I could think of when I met him yesterday was first round. Rajajinagar. For them, it's a working day. 1st November, I don't know the date. 1st November is I think.
ಏನು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಅದ ಹಾಂ ಅವ್ರ ಹೆಂಡತಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳು
ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ಪುಷ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಬೇಕು. ಅಯ್ಯೋ, I can just imagine how much work is involved in that. That's better. That's a better problem.
We have hosted thousands of people. So what is the problem?
Let me see your pin.
Proud of
have one for Chandrayana 3.
Yeah.
Tell them to make one.
ಅದು ನಿಮ್ದು ಊಟ ಏನೇನು ಸಿಗತ್ತೆ
ಅದು ಗಗನಯಾನ್
ಏನು ಬೇಕು ಹೇಳಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅರೇಂಜ್
Okay.
ಓ ಓ
Back to the agenda, the program. Amma Bhagilakshmi ಅವರು and Geena ಅವರು ಬರ್ತೀರಾ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ. And on this side, can I request Vasanthi and Chitra and Chaitanya? So,
ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ ಏನಾಯ್ತು?
ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿ ಚಾರ್ಜ್
ನೋಡಿಲ್ವ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಲಿಂಕ್ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದೀನಲ್ಲ
ಚಾರ್ಜರ್ ತಗೊಂಬರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ.
ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಕಾರಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಟು ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿತ್ತು
so
ಬಟ್ ಇದು ಲೈವ್ ಔಟ್
thank you very much, Mr. One. Thank you for all your time.
correct ಆಗಿ photo ತೆಗೀರಪ್ಪ.
Formal thank you for the event by Karnataka. But ನೀವು ಬಂದು ತುಂಬ ಸಂತೋಷ. ಬಂದು ಎಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಇವರು ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಅವ್ರ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, ತುಂಬ ಸಂತೋಷ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು. Ramakrishna and Alumni. Thank you again. Let's take a nice group picture.
ಹಾಂ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾ ಹಾಂ ಈಗ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಇದು ಲೈವ್ ಫೋಟೋ ಬೇರೆ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಎರಡು ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ
One second. Can you just wait?
ಫೋಟೋಸ್ ತೆಗಿಯರಪ್ಪ ಫೋಟೋಸ್ ತೆಗಿದ್ರು ನನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಫೋಟೋ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದೇ ಇದು ಸರಿ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಅದೇ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ
She is Felicitating Ramakrishna.
Excuse me, can you please go to the center? Please go there.
ಈ ಕಡೆ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡಿ.
Ramakrishna, when you come this way. A white flag. That is better.
Thank you.
And now, Deepak Ravidekar is standing between the last event and lunch. So Deepak,
want to come in
a
anybody's
vote
way.
of thanks from Deepak Ravidekar. Oh, Deepak came, huh?
ಅಲ್ಲ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಓಕೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ
ರಾಂಗ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್
Wrong. Oh, sorry, wrong. Deepak came.
ನಿಂದಪ್ಪ
ಇವನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾನಾ
ಕೆಲಸ ನಿಂದು ನನಗೆ ಅಂಟಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ರೆಡಿ ನೈ 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 ಅರ್ಜೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ
ಏನೋ ತೆಗಿತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಫೋಟೋ ಲೈವ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ತಗೋ ಇದು ಇಡೀ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ 3 ಜನ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ನೋಡಿ
ಮೀಟಲ್ಲಿ ಇವರೆಲ್ಲ ಸತೀಶ್ ಶ್ಯಾಮ ಸುಂದರ then Mr. Bhatt.
Syed Ahmed.
Yeah, yeah.
ಏನು
Thanks a lot, Mr. Ramakrishna.
ಅವ್ರು ಬಿಸಿ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ನೀನು ಹೇಳು ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ.
Thanks a lot for your very adventurous explanation. Adventurous mission. Madam is a teacher. Our BB madam is very busy. Madam, BB madam is very busy. Thanks a lot. Your
Sorry.
ಇದಾ
ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಆಗಿ
ಅದು ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು
ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅದೇ
ವಾಟ್ಸಪ್ಪಿಗೆ ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪಲ್ಲಿ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ.
ಹೌದು, ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ವೈಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸಾಕಾಯ್ತು. ದೀಪಕ್ ಈ ಸತಿ ನನಗೆ ಬರಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಮತ್ತೆ ವೆರಿ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು
ನಾನು ತೆಗೆದು
ಭಾಸ್ಕರ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೋಡಿ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಭಾಸ್ಕರ ಫಾರ್ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಕ್ಯಾಬಿನಿಂಗ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಅನಿಲ್
ಹಾಂ
ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋಗ್ರಾಫರ್.
ಹಾಂ ಹೇಳು
3 ವಿಷಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಅವ್ರು ಕರೆದಿದ್ದಾರಲ್ಲ,
ಹಾಂ
ಇಡ್ಲಿ ವಡೆ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಇರ್ತದೆ
ಹಾಂ
ಇಸ್ರೋದಲ್ಲಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದೇ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್.
ಕೇಳಾಯ್ತು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಲ್ಲೇ.
Okay, and thank you all dignitaries, ladies present here, especially Mrs. Ramakrishna and our mother, mom, Bhagilakshmi.
ಬರೀ ಕಿಲ ಅವಾಗಿಂದ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ನೋಡು. ಹಾಂ, ಅದ್ರ ಹೆಸರು ಅವಳ ಹೆಸರೇ ಕಿಲ ಶೋಭಾ, ಗೊತ್ತು ತಾನೆ? ಕಣ್ಣೆಲ್ಲ ಕೆಂಪಾಗೋಷ್ಟು ನಗೋದ ಇದೆ. ನೀವಿದ್ದೀರಲ್ಲ 4 ಜನ, ಸರಿ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ ಗ್ಯಾಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ನೋಡಿ, ಚಿತ್ರ ಅಷ್ಟು ಥರ ಸೀರಿಯಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದುಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೋಡು ಹೆಂಗೆ. ಹಾಂ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್.
Okay, thanks Isha once again.
Quick note, Ramakrishna, PC man